So, did LeBron make a mistake by joining the Lakers? What should Zion Williams do after coming back from his injury? Who really is the new number one? More on that coming up. All right, welcome to Basketball Street Beat, episode 7. I'm your host, John Behrens.
And I'm Joshua Perkins.
Okay, Josh. What's the deal with the Lakers?
Lack of chemistry. I mean, I could tell there's probably a lot of turmoil in the locker room, especially ever since that trade scare that happened when Magic Johnson was literally willing to give up everybody for Anthony Davis, and basically the Pelicans gave them the finger. So they're a young team. I mean, they got a lot of veterans on the team as well. I just feel there's just a lack of chemistry. I mean, they couldn't come together. I mean, this is one of the hardest times LeBron has probably had as far as trying to carry a team. And then not only that, he coming back from injury not too long ago. It's just a mess out in LA.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you think about it, you had this young core, as you want to call it that. I mean, honestly, I don't think out of any of them you have any real future superstars on the level of LeBron and Davis. I mean, solid players, but, no one to me at this point sticks out is like, okay, these guys are going to be in the Hall of Fame someday.
I mean, the only guy you can put in that conversation is LeBron.
Right.
Here's where I feel that LA messed up. This is where I wouldn't say LeBron made a huge mistake going to LA. I mean, that's probably a landing spot he probably always wanted to go. And LA gave him, they pay him well. But here's where I feel that LA has messed up. And I feel that if this guy was still on the team, LA would be a little bit more successful. It was when they traded D'Angelo Russell to the Brooklyn Nets. As you can see, D'Angelo Russell, he has contributed in a mighty way for the Brooklyn Nets this season. And ever since going there, and of course, Magic Johnson traded him to make some room for Lonzo Ball. And not only that, it was the little personal fiasco that Russell had with Swaggy P, with Nick Young over the Iggy Azalea situation. That's just a total mess. But I feel that if D'Angelo Russell was still part of the Lakers, I feel the Lakers would be a lot more successful and there would be a lot more chemistry. And Magic Johnson probably wouldn't have needed to sign so many veterans to this 1 year veteran minimum contract.
Okay, well, so you have all these players behind LeBron, and they're support players at best in my mind. You're willing to offer virtually all of them for Anthony Davis. Well, now your players know that they're expendable.
Well, I mean,
and now you're trying to make a playoff push? The Lakers have lost 4 of 5, and then they're 3-7 since the whole Anthony Davis trade thing broke out.
Well, I mean, now the players know that there is no loyalty there. So why would they want to make a playoff push for a franchise that has no loyalty? I mean, though basketball is a business, but all right. So here's my thing about it. I'm about to go off to a little tangent. I'm going to go back to the Isaiah Thomas situation. He was the face of the Boston Celtics franchise. I mean, he was loyal to the Celtics. He led them to the playoffs. Celtics saw great success with IT out there, and they just traded him to Cleveland to get Kyrie Irving. A lot of these franchises, and the big wigs in these franchises, like the GMs, the presidents, the owners, they got these fans in a mindset that if a franchise has a star, as it has players, these players have to be loyal to the soul. They have to be loyal to their respective franchise. And, I mean, that's what they expect. But why couldn't they be loyal to the players? You look at DeMar DeRozan. He stayed loyal to Toronto, and Toronto traded him to San Antonio. I mean, as far as... And that's why a lot of players leave their franchises to go elsewhere. Because there is no... As far as loyalty, there's no connection between, your star players and your respective franchises. And now these young guys, they know that they're probably not going to be in LA for a long time. Because, I mean, LA is going to try and make a push for some more superstars in the offseason. they know there's no loyalty, so they're kind of like, why should we try and make a playoff push, for a disloyal franchise?
Right. And another thing about the Lakers is that, so you sign LeBron, and then you try to make a trade for Kawhi. San Antonio tells you to go take a hike, and then they trade Kawhi to Toronto. Then you try to make a trade for Anthony Davis, and the Pelicans tell you, go take a hike. We're going to wait until we can get a better deal in the summertime. It looks to me like Los Angeles is stuck in this position where they got a bunch of players who are disgruntled because they've realized they're expendable, and the desperate need to sign better players in free agency. So you have to win free agency battles now, because teams aren't going to trade with you. They made that pretty clear.
Oh yeah, as far as trades are concerned, as far as like trying to make trades, LA is probably the most hated team in the league, because most teams are going to try and make a trade. Of course, depending on where these players go, they're not going to stay. Because they see right through Magic Johnson's teeth. They see right through the deals that he's offering. The Pelicans, and I'm going to say it again, Dale Demps made the right decision to sit on this deal and wait until the offseason. Because I'm not going to take a bunch of players that's not going to want to stay with my team past this season. And you see Anthony Davis 2 or 3 years down the line, he's still going to be with LA. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to put myself in that position. And then next thing you know, right after I get all these players, I got to rebuild all over again through the draft and then through the offseason. It's probably going to take 2 or 3 years.
Dale Demps is now gone in New Orleans. And quite frankly, that was more or less his fault, because of how he handled the Anthony Davis tenure. Demps never built a team around Davis. They kept trying to land these, superstars or like slam dunk players, and who end up wanting like max contracts, like Drew Holiday. Which, don't get me wrong, love Holiday. He's a good fit for that team. But you trade a bunch of players to Sacramento, including Buddy Hield, who's now becoming his own dominant player.
Yes, he is.
And, for DeMarcus Cousins, who is now on the Golden State Warriors and only played a year and a half for your team, he spent years just trading away draft picks and players drafted in order to get win now players.
You gotta build like a team for the future. I feel that's why Cleveland, for a while, when they got LeBron James back for his second tenure, the owner, his name is Dan Gilbert. That's why he was so successful, because he knew that this time around he had to put a team around LeBron. They already had Kyrie Irving there. Then they ended up getting Kevin Love to Cleveland as well. So, that's what Pat Riley in Miami, that's why he was so successful as far as running that organization. They ended up getting Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade used diplomacy to get Chris Bosh, to get LeBron, also get some contributing players like Ray Allen, Shane Battier, Mike Miller, Mario Chalmers, etc. And so, with star players, you got to build, the new GM that comes into New Orleans, say if Anthony Davis gets traded for number 1 pick, which is probably going to happen, you got to build a team around that guy, because if you don't, he's going to end up being in Anthony Davis' shoes within the next few years. He's going to want to trade to go to a better team, because in today's NBA, everybody's out chasing rings, which, why not? That's the dream for everybody who gets into the NBA, to be able to hoist the NBA Finals trophy to get a ring.
Yeah, and I feel like, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I feel like we've reached that era where everybody is pushing for these super teams, and it all started with arguably it started with the big three in Boston, but really the Heat kicked it off by getting 3 superstars together.
And the Warriors stopped them by having a lineup of nothing but all-stars.
5 all-stars on your starting roster. That's stupid ridiculous. And now, the Lakers are trying to build their super team around LeBron. by trying to get Kawhi Leonard and now Anthony Davis. I mean, and, they're talking about signing Kevin Durant in the offseason and blah, 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 blah.
Or maybe try and make a push for Kyrie Irving.
Or bring in Kyrie Irving.
Well, the good thing about it is that these players are going to be free agents in the summer, and so LA has more than enough opportunity, but they're going to have to make some. The good thing about a trade, as far as the players that are involved, they're still going to be guaranteed a team, like the Anthony Davis trade. A lot of the guys that were on the chopping block, they were guaranteed to stay on the team. When it comes to free agency, if you try and sign some max deals but don't have enough money, of course you got to be able to make some cuts, and so. If these young guys think they're on the chopping block now, just wait till this summer where it's going to be free agency and the Lakers got to clear up some cap space. Then some of these players might be left without a team and have to wait for a call. That's the huge nuclear option downside of it.
Yeah, I forget that the Lakers are kind of lacking in cap space.
And it seems that Magic Johnson is lacking in diplomacy.
Oh, okay. So what's next for the NBA?
What's next for the NBA? That's a very broad topic.
Going more on this. So,
all I have to say is we're going to be in for the most active off season in recent memory.
Yeah. Okay, so we're closing in on the playoffs now. We're in the final. I forget, but it's less than 30 games now, right?
Right.
So, I think we can know basically that the top 4 teams are really the top 5 teams to make the playoffs in each conference. What about the bottom 3 to 4? Who you got?
As far as in the Eastern Conference?
Both.
Oh, in both conferences.
I think the top, like I said, the top 4 or 5 teams are pretty much set in each conference, but you got, about 3 or 4 teams fighting for those last few spots.
Because usually, sometimes the last 3 or 4 teams are the ones that can make a huge push as far as in the postseason. That's a good question. I'll have to get into the standings. Because I haven't been... I'm still kind of...
Okay, so at number 6, you have the Utah Jazz. And then it's the Clippers, San Antonio.
I would say as far as in the Western Conference, the Utah Jazz can be a legitimate threat. They can play ball. With Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Ingles... Those guys can play. So if I'm like the Oklahoma City Thunder, or if I'm because last season the Jazz eliminated the Thunder last season.
Yeah.
But this is a much better Thunder team. This Thunder team has been playing some of the best basketball I've seen since the Durant Westbrook era. Russell Westbrook finally found his PNC, his partner in crime, in Paul George. And those two guys they've just been balling lately. So the Thunder, I would say, is a legitimate threat in the West. They could probably be a threat to Golden State. I don't care what anybody say, they can be a threat to Golden State. With Denver Nuggets, yeah, they are number 2, but with them not having been in the playoffs in a while, I have to see how they can do. I can see them being in good shape against the LA Clippers, but I probably don't see the Nuggets making it to the Western Conference Finals.
Okay, one game out of 8th place is Sacramento, which is a quite impressive turnaround for that franchise.
Definitely. They have something brewing in Sacramento. There's a process going. You know how Philly, they used to be one of the worst teams in the league, and now you look at the Philadelphia 76ers, they're 4th in the Eastern Conference.
Mm-hmm. And we talked a little bit about them having Buddy Hield now, and Hield coming into developing into this solid player at the very least.
And they got guys like De'Aaron Fox and Marvin Bagley, and the good thing about the Kings, they are a very young team, and these are guys that are in for the long haul. These are guys that the Kings want to keep around for a long time, and the Kings organization, they're going to be willing to do anything to keep these guys around. And so, Sacramento, they're going to be a force to reckon with. I can honestly say that in the coming years, we're going to see, the Jason Williams and Chris Webber era part 2 maybe within the next coming years.
Interesting.
I mean, this is a young team, and this is a team that the Kings can really keep under their wing and turn them into a powerhouse within the next few years.
The one thing that concerns me about the Kings is that they're 3-10 in their division play. You're getting down that stretch where you're going to have a lot of division opponents.
And those division wins are going to come in handy as far as trying to get into the playoffs.
Now, staying in the West, the next 2 teams that are 3 games out of the 8th spot are the Minnesota Timberwolves and Los Angeles Lakers. I think we touched up on the Lakers. I think they're a lost team right now. I do not see them be able to get their young players focused on really caring about a playoff push at this point.
Well, I mean, LeBron's going to have to channel. He's going to have to channel his inner NBA Finals-esque performance from last season, where he just pretty much carried the Cavaliers on his back pretty much throughout the whole playoffs. And he's going to have to probably do it again in the final push of this season if he wants to get into the playoffs.
And both Minnesota and Los Angeles have losing records as of right now. Now, we typically do not see a team in the West make the playoffs with a losing record.
The West is very, very strong competition. It's either, I haven't seen a battle like pretty much this close as far as in the West. Teams with losing records. You see it a lot in the East, but not really in the West.
All right. Well, you see it in the East all the time. Speaking of the East, so, like I said, I think the first 5 teams are a lock. Brooklyn Nets are sitting there at number 6 right now, but there's down to number 10.
You look at it. There's only a game and a half separating 8th through 10th.
Right. It's a very competitive, and then very outside shot. You can still say Washington has a long shot to make it.
Well, you got to look at it. There's how many games? 22 games, 22 games left, and Washington's only 4 games behind. It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot of help for them to get in, but also I'm looking at the Heat due to the fact D Wade is in his last season, and I'm pretty sure he's going to want to make a playoff push. But I'm also looking at Orlando, and Orlando has improved greatly, since the past few seasons. Orlando used to be towards the very bottom of the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, they were up, then they're down. I don't know. Orlando, to me, has been a very up and down franchise. You never know how they're going to do. They did well through the Shaq years. Then they kind of stumbled. They did well through the Howard years. Then they kind of stumbled. Now they're finding their way again, lo and behold.
Well, not only that, also a little interesting fact. Between 8th place and last place, the Knicks still have a mathematical chance of making the playoffs. They're only 16 games behind. You know what? Who am I kidding? The Knicks are probably the worst team in the league. Just want to kind of put that out there.
That's a competition in and of itself. New York just ended a 18-game losing streak. And the Suns just ended a 17-game losing streak.
That's a shame.
The Cavaliers are not far behind either of those two teams.
You look at New York, something that's very staggering. They've only won 5 games the whole season in Madison Square Garden. You look at the Suns, they've only won 7 games all year at home. That's just bad.
You know exactly. Do you really have home court advantage? You got more wins at home than you do on the road. If you want to call that home court advantage. No, both, all 3 of those teams are pretty bad. So, I'm looking here at the East standings, and as you would expect, the Nets at number 6, the 6th seed team right now, just 2 games above 500. The next one is at number 7 is the Pistons, who are a game under 500.
Those are 2 teams who have struggled over the years. I feel the Pistons have really found their stride since, getting Dwayne Casey over from Toronto and also getting Blake Griffin over. Look at the Nets. look at the Nets. I kind of had a little spill about them earlier in the show when I talked about getting D'Angelo Russell. I mean, it's another team that found their stride as well. So, I mean, you see, and these teams are young. I mean, these are not just a team full of a bunch of veterans. These are young guys who are in it for the long haul, and they're who have that hunger to win and a hunger to build a powerhouse team.
Yeah. All right. So that does it about for as far as the NBA goes. And now we will go on and start talking about a very active week in college basketball after this. And we're back. All right. Very active week, like I said, in college basketball. Let's start with Zion Williams blowing out his shoe.
Grade 1 knee sprain, and apparently that was the X factor that probably helped North Carolina beat Duke. And well, I wouldn't say they beat Duke; they smoked Duke out there in Cameron. Smoked the living hell out of them.
Yeah, I'm with the cheapest ticket about $2,500. I'm sure those Duke fans were well pleased with their purchase.
Very pleased if you say it like that. But I mean, there's been some speculation about trying to shut Zion down for the rest of the season due to the fact that he's going to go to the NBA after this season. He's going to get ready for the draft. So there's been speculation about, is Coach K going to shut him down for the rest of the year? My answer will probably be no. I mean, because Duke is going to try, because this is one of the best, freshman classes I've seen come through college basketball. I mean, you look at R.J. Barrett, you got Zion Williamson. R.J. Barrett, who's been carrying the team on his back since Zion Wilson getting hurt. I mean, R.J. Barrett's been putting up a lot of good numbers. He's going to be another early draft pick. But Coach K is going to try and shoot for a national title this season. I mean, this is, his window is pretty much now. I mean, Duke is going to have a bunch of top ranked players come in the future, but he feels that his window to have a for sure shot at the national title will probably be now, due to the fact you got the most powerful weapon in the nation.
So I have no question that Coach K is going to want to play Williams, but still, the ultimately the decision whether or not to sit out it comes down to Zion Williams.
I mean, does he trust himself to go back out there without trying to get hurt again? I mean,
he blew out his shoe, which ironically was a Nike shoe.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing about it was just a grade 1, knee sprain, which is, nothing bad. It's just something that you probably have to sit out maybe a game or two and ice it down and get back out there. But with Zion Williamson, you got to think about it. Say if he suffers, the next injury he suffers is God forbid, is a gruesome knee injury. Next thing you know, now he has to take maybe a year or two off. And so it's just, is he willing to risk it? That's what it could just come down to. Is he willing to trust his knee? Is he willing to trust himself to get back out there? You look at a guy who goes airborne every chance he gets. What if he lands on his leg wrong? Or what if he gets crossed up? You got to think about those type of factors. Because anything can happen on that court.
Right. And, it's not surprised that, he has this freak accident that, quite honestly, nobody saw coming. The last thing you expect is someone to blow their shoe out. But, of course, they're now having to talk about him sitting out because he's projected to be the number 1 pick in the upcoming draft. Let's jump on the hypothetical. Let's say he does choose to sit out. I think we can agree that Duke is no longer the favorite.
Oh, they're not going to be the favorite anymore. It makes them a little more vulnerable.
So if Duke's not the favorite, who is?
You got to look at Michigan. They just suffered a loss against Michigan State this past weekend. But Michigan is still a dangerous team. You got to look at teams like Kentucky. Kentucky is also a team that can be on the radar as a favorite. P.J. Washington has came alive as, one of the emerging players in the nation. Team like Gonzaga. They just reclaimed number 1.
They just reclaimed number 1. I was about to say that.
Gonzaga, that's a team you always have to look at. Look at the way they've been playing this season. But then again, you never know what happens in the NCAA tournament. It's a supernatural effect.
Here's the thing about Gonzaga. It's like, I recognize them as one of the blue bloods per se. They're always in the tournament. They're always going to be a top 6 seed. But they always seem to have that point where they just
Crash and burn.
It's almost, and I hate to use this analogy because it's just kind of a low blow, but it's almost as guaranteed as Chris Paul getting injured at the time of playoffs.
Oh wow, that's just a shot at the belt. Oh wow.
Well, I mean, it's true.
Now there's a mid-major team that I've been kind of looking at. I wouldn't say that they're going to win a national title, but then again, it's the NCAA tournament. You never know, and they have one of the most talented players in the nation. The Murray State Racers, led by Ja Morant. That is a team that's going to make a lot of noise in the NCAA tournament. And if you are a top seed, if you are seeded from 1 to 4 and you have to meet Murray State, God help you. These guys are very talented, and their head coach got them in the right direction. This is a team that's going to make a lot of upsets. So I'm just saying, if you're going to be playing against Murray State, you might as well reserve your tickets at the Heartbreak Hotel come March. But more teams that I feel can make some noise as far as going forward. Of course, the U of H Cougars, who've only lost 1 game this season. The Buffalo Bulls, who've made a lot of noise. Teams that I'm not going to really give a big chance to is Kansas. They've taken steps back this season.
Even though they just recently beat the Big 12 leaders, K-State. Seems like a bunch of conference leaders took losses this week.
And also Villanova, they just lost to Xavier this past weekend.
And for the 4th time in like 5 games. So
Villanova's taking some steps back. A team that I would look at, just how they played against Duke. I mean, if you look at how they played against Duke, I mean, North Carolina. I mean, I wouldn't count them out either. Led by Rory Williams, and North Carolina, they're always a team that performs pretty strong in the NCAA tournament. So, I mean, I wouldn't count out North Carolina either.
Okay, and the other big thing this week was the SEC. Yeah, you had Kentucky just
crush Auburn.
Well, okay, I wasn't about to say Auburn, but yeah, them like Tennessee. They just destroyed Tennessee.
Yeah,
and then LSU has now officially beaten Kentucky and Tennessee.
Basically, the 2 heavyweights of the SEC coming into this season,
yet no movement in the polls.
Really?
Yeah, they did not move.
Well, I think it was because LSU lost to Florida.
Yeah, LSU lost to Florida.
And if you look at, all right, so here's how they do resumes as far as getting in for, say, for an at-large bid, hypothetically. You look at the big wins and you look at the big losses. And, I feel that LSU not moving, I feel that the win against Tennessee, the poll committee felt that it was, them not moving was a way to even the balance between them losing to Florida at home and then beating Tennessee. But in my opinion, LSU should have moved up at least 2 or 3 spots after beating Tennessee. You got to think about it. LSU came into this game ranked 13th. Tennessee came in ranked 5th. It would be only fair if LSU moved up. I mean, LSU's been playing some good basketball lately, and I feel that LSU's not getting enough respect. And my thing is, LSU is a lot more lethal than what a lot of these critics make them out to be. They are a very young team, but Will Wade, I mean, he knows what he's doing, especially since his time from VCU. He was, I believe, VCU.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Will Wade, he's turned this program around. It's the recruiting, the way they're playing, the culture he's bringing to the LSU basketball program. And this is a culture I haven't seen since the John Brady days when they had Garrett Temple and Tasman Mitchell and Tyrus Thomas and Glenn Big Baby Davis. I mean, and this is the first time since that era that I'm seeing this winning culture out of LSU. And I feel that if LSU wants to make some noise, if LSU wants to get people talking and raise some eyebrows, then they gotta put some strong performances coming in the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament. I mean, let's think about it. LSU is already pretty much locked up in an at-large bid due to their victories this season.
Mm-hmm. Without question. Tennessee, Kentucky, and LSU are pretty much a shoe-in at this point.
I mean, and it's a good thing LSU holds. Is there a 3-way tie for first place in the SEC for the SEC regular season title? LSU holds a tiebreaker with the 2 top teams, Kentucky and Tennessee.
Yeah, and remaining schedule, LSU has arguably the easiest path.
Well, they're going against Texas A&M at home tonight, and after that, I think they're going to Gainesville to play Florida, or is it? Who they're playing? They're going to Tuscaloosa to play Alabama.
Yeah, they already played Florida twice, I believe.
No, they didn't.
They didn't.
They haven't gone to Gainesville yet. They still have to play against Texas A&M at home, which is going to be tonight at 6. They still have to go to Tuscaloosa to play Alabama. They still have to go to Gainesville, play Florida, and they still got to play Vandy, and that's going to be a home game. Vanderbilt's, I think, it's going to be their last game of the season, and that's going to be senior night or a senior day for LSU. Which I highly doubt there's any seniors on that team. I highly doubt it because that team is young. You got Bigsby Williams, you got Nasri, Tremont Waters, got Mays. I don't know if Mays is a senior or not. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no. If they have any seniors, they're on the bench.
Oh, that's a shame. You didn't have to say it like that, but yeah, what he said.
Okay, so we're getting close to tournament time, and that should be interesting, especially with the rash of upsets this past week.
There's going to be a big mix-up as far as these tournaments, but it's good to look at a lot of these big conferences like the ACC, SEC, Big 12, Big 10, etc. But we also got to look at some of these mid-major conferences. You look at teams like Murray State. You look at the Drake Bulldogs, the Buffalo Bulls, the Cincinnati Bearcats. And we got to take a look at them as well out there in the American Conference. So when it comes to things like this, you got to take a look at these mid-major teams like this. That's where you have to do, I would say, your biggest analysis. Because at that point, you're looking at, okay, which of these mid-major teams, which one of these mid-major conferences can bring home upsets come March Madness? There's going to be upsets happening. You had, UMBC knock off Virginia. That was 16-1. You had, I want to say Northern Iowa knocking off Texas. Northern Iowa has knocked off Kansas. You had Middle Tennessee knocking off Michigan State. Upsets are happening, and it's going to happen. There's nothing you can do to stop it.
Mm. Alrighty. Well, it definitely looks like some things are starting to heat up in college basketball, especially the closer we get to the tournament. Selection Sunday is less than 3 weeks away.
I can't wait. I'm ready for March Madness, man. I'm ready.
Oh, it definitely should be mad. All right. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Basketball Street Beat. You can find us on YouTube, Twitters, and Facebook, or our website, aisportsnetwork.com. I'm John Barons.
I'm Joshua Perkins.
And this is AI Production signing out.